welcome everyone to the second episode of the Tigers Unmuted podcast. My name is Charlie Stock alongside my fellow hosts.
Cole Jersek.
Layne Powers, Mary Kennedy.
Clendening.
And today we have a very special guest. Today we have with us Rachel Goldin, who works for the Charlotte Hornets as a video editor and producer. And Rachel, if you don't mind, would you want to tell the audience a brief description of who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. Well, hi, you guys. My name is Rachel. I'm so glad to be a part of your podcast. So, just to give you guys a little bit of backstory about who I am, my name is Rachel, and I am originally from Long Island, New York. I came down to North Carolina, and growing up, I ended up being a Clemson Tiger. So, I am a fellow Clemson Tiger, just like you guys, and graduated, became a photographer and editor within Fox Carolina, which is based in Greenville, South Carolina. And then now I work with the Charlotte Hornets as a video editor. So I am very excited because I can't wait to share with you guys what I do on the day-to-day basis.
Yeah, awesome. So just got a quick more about like your personal background. Coming out of college, did you know that you wanted to end up working for a basketball organization like the Charlotte Hornets, or like what ended up leading you to that position?
So surprisingly, when I first started out as a Clemson Tiger, I wanted to do something in movie production, which I still have a passion for. I absolutely love movies. I love building short films and movies. However, I joined a club within Clemson. It was called Tiger Vision, and it was an extraordinary club that taught me so many different aspects to the production process, and not just in filming and the production side, but it also gave me the news background that I needed in order to fulfill my first job post grad, and then also the sports content. And honestly, as I kind of evolved post grad and realized, okay, news is really not for me. I realized that I really miss that aspect of sports, that atmosphere, that electricity that goes on whenever you're on the field or on a court, whatever that is. It's something that you just can't get anywhere else. And I think that's kind of what helped me determine the path to get to where I am right now.
Yeah, so would you say some of like the biggest skills that you've learned throughout Clemson or that are important for college students like us to gain in order to get to like a position at your level?
So, one of the biggest things that a student of any kind, especially a Clemson student, can take a part of is any of the clubs. So, if you have an interest in something, go and do it. That is my biggest thing that I love preaching. Just say yes, go ahead, give it a try. You never know what you're going to love. Originally, when I came in as a Clemson student, I wanted to be an engineer. So this was even before I had the pathway of wanting to do production. And after realizing through COVID, going through my senior year of high school, I said to myself, oh my gosh, I'm realizing I don't love the math. I'm not a math girl. But at the end of the day, what I really loved about the aspect of engineering was creating content. And so going through my college journey, I kind of tried different avenues when it came to building on my creativity. So that was with short films, that was with sports content. I did news content. I've done marketing, and I worked with a apartment complex within the Clemson area. So I got a lot of different avenues and a lot of well-roundedness when it came to content. And really, I think that's the biggest thing that students need to learn is that if you have a passion, if you have an interest, explore everything that's kind of built around that little niche because you never know what you're going to actually end up truly loving.
Yeah, so or Cole, you're about to say something.
Yeah. I wanted to just kind of like learn more about like specifically your role at the Hornets. Like thank you for sending us that like real access video. I thought I was like, oh, 25 minutes. I don't know if I'm gonna sit through all that. But I was like really locked in after the first minute. I just ended up watching the whole thing. And I was like, wow, this is like, I feel I'm not like, I mean, I like the Hornets. I've been in like the Carolinas most of my life, so I'm like, but it's like my team, but I got really invested in it just from that. And it wasn't like, um, not I don't know. It was like it was almost like borderline reality TV, I guess, which it kind of is. But I also thought it was like very honest as well. But I just to go into my next question is just like what when you're editing and organizing this kind of like um you have all this footage and like various footage whether it's from games or press conferences or just like fun moments with the teammates and whatever. What usually um is goes to top of your priority when you get to the start of one of these kind of projects? What kind of clips are like those are the things I have to include by far.
So, one of the biggest factors that we look for, especially when it comes to sports, is let's say, for example, there's a certain play that happens, and I don't know, we'll give a real life example. Um, Musa Diabate had this absolutely amazing dunk that he had the other night. And one of the biggest things about those types of atmospheres is building off of that emotion. So, for example, during that amazing dunk that Diabate did, you can tell the crowd was so invested in it. Kind of like what you were saying, you were so invested in it. Those fans really express themselves through like screaming and cheering, and you hear that throughout the atmosphere. That's what builds your plays. That's what builds like the momentum to what you craft in whether that's with a docu-series or maybe that's with short form content. So I think that's the biggest takeaway is seeing those pieces that are very emotional, maybe to fans that are actually at the games, that kind of helps. But also, some other examples might be our commentators, Del Curry and Eric Collins. They are very,
Love
very
Eric Collins.
expressive. If you know the Hornets, you know what I'm talking about. They will be like, "Oh
Mhm.
my gosh, Con Knipple, he's magical." So it's just in those types of moments, you just know the dynamic is a much higher shift than, let's say, a 2 point floater that a player happens to catch. But I mean, if it also could make the difference versus, if it's the last play of the game and, it's down to the final seconds, the Hornets need 2 more points to win the game. It really just depends for points. It's not 3 points is better than 2 points or anything, but definitely based on the emotion of reaction, I would say is the biggest thing.
Yeah. Oh, also I just like another question, and now I'll let someone else. But like, working for a pro sports organization, are there certain like guidelines that you have to, as you're putting out some kind of piece that's representing the organization? How do you, yeah, like what guidelines do they usually set that maybe one who isn't in the industry might not expect, if any?
So I will say the process of editing, I have a lot of creative power. So with that being said, the guidelines, it kind of varies per video content that is produced. So let's say, for example, Con Knipple reached 200 3 pointers last night, actually. So one of the biggest things is that, a producer might come to you and say, "Hey, Rachel, we want you to produce this video. We need to have it in like 2 hours. Can you have it done?" And the guidelines are you need to make sure that it's electric, it is moving, it has, that flow to it versus maybe a slower piece. So usually those are the types of guidelines that I'm usually given. But for example, if it's maybe for a partnership piece, which I provided you guys some partnership pieces as well, I absolutely love doing content for Lowe's, and then we have our blocks segment that we do on social as well. So for those types of guidelines, we need to make sure, okay, um, we need to have the plays that are the top plays of that month. That is an absolute definite. To making sure that we stick to our brand, whether that is having Lowe's logos throughout each play or whatever the types of pieces are needed. That's one of the biggest factors, I would say. So when it comes to maybe like a creative piece, like I said, going back to the Knipple stuff, that we may want to add more color to it, more color grading. So it just kind of depends on what is needed based on our brand. I hope that makes sense.
No, yeah, I I was locked in on that. I was like, it's very interesting stuff. Yeah. Thank you.
I've got a
Absolutely.
two-part question for you. So how long have you been with the Hornets?
So surprisingly, I am just reaching my second month. So
Oh
I
wow, okay.
am brand new to it. I just started. But one of the biggest things that I will say going through learning all of this is that it takes a lot of work. Let me tell you, just being an editor, being here, learning the process and how their brand works, there's a lot involved with it. So I will tell you that. I'm still not done learning. Let's just put it that way.
I bet. And so, Hornets have had a pretty hot streak this season. How has it been for you this season? Finding that content, I have a feeling it's a little bit easier. How do you think it could be in the future if some of the seasons and some of the games are a little bit slower and there's not as much stuff going on for you to capture?
So surprisingly, Cole, one of the most interesting things that you would actually think otherwise is the fact that the Hornets are kind of used to that non-streak kind of linear motion. So they're used to not winning as much. So the expectation is that that's what a lot of people know. Even people 20 years in the business have been telling me we have not had this much hotness with the Hornets since they can even remember.
Oh yeah.
So, with that being said, I will answer your question though. So, when it comes to those times when we are losing and things are not going well for us, yes, we will get those types of comments, in our comment sections of Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. But we usually like to focus on thanking the fans, maybe the positives as far as maybe the plays that were really well that night. So that's usually what our focus is as an organization, or um, maybe throwing in like a little bit of community. So I remember we posted a video one time of LaMelo Ball, he was out there signing a little kid's t-shirt or something. And so we made that the focus. We made the fans the focus first during those times because fan support is huge. No matter if it's with the Hornets, with the Chicago Bulls, with the Detroit Pistons, it all is the same. We love the fan engagement. So, and we love to have that fan connection. So, when we are winning, of course, we focus on the highlights. The Hornets are hot. We focus on those types of energetic plays that go on because I'm telling you, plays get a lot of interaction. So, those are things that we love to focus on. Um, I know about 4 games ago when we were up against Detroit, one of the biggest things was what Musa Diabate and another one of our players, Miles Bridges, was doing on the field, on the court, excuse me, because they were the ones that kind of held that team together. And I shouldn't really get involved too much in this, but that game we ended up having a very big fight that ended up going viral. So, giving an example of that, we don't really focus on the fight. We focus on the energy of the players. So, a lot of people will go Musa and have their hands up like as if it's The moose is on the loose. So those are things that we end up focusing on.
Awesome.
Yeah, kind of going off of what you were saying about the importance of fan engagement. Have you like noticed like a rise in personal marketing for like specific players rather than as like an organization as a whole? And do you see what was I gonna say? Do you see fans becoming more loyal to like specific players rather than just like the overall team?
So, to answer your first question, yes, there has been a lot of fan engagement because with the winning streak that we previously had, I know we haven't had it lately. However, now that our full team is back, I think we're going to be back on that winning streak pretty soon. We've already got 2 wins so far, so I think we'll bounce back. So, I think because of the fact that not many teams reach, those high rankings wins. There's not that many streaks that happen like that. And for example, for the Hornets themselves, the last time that they had a 9 win streak was literally back before the PlayStation 2 was out, just to give you that. So it is a huge deal in the Hornets community, but also we got a lot of national attention. ESPN was talking about us. All of the sports platforms were talking about us. Any talk show, they would say, they're the uprising team. They're such a young team. And I think what also plays a factor is that we also have one of the top offensive teams in the NBA right now. So I think that's what is driving the eyes of not just Hornets fans, but anybody who's like outside of the Hornets community to be drawn into them. Because oh shoot, this is a new team. We haven't seen movement from the Hornets in a very long time. And now all of a sudden they're exploding. And this is very, very great for not just us, but the NBA as a whole. So I think with that being said, it really draws that those more eyes. We're getting more national games that are played on those big platforms like um, Amazon, Peacock, all those big platforms that we're getting recognized. Disney Plus is another example. I know we have a lot of games coming up on those platforms, and every day or every week we get a new announcement of a new national game. And that's because of how much we have grown as an organization just through our teams.
How do you balance marketing specific players and then also like still creating that whole team image?
So, as a whole, the Hornets team that we have is very young, like I said. So they're still they're still working that out as far as that aspect. However, someone like LaMelo Ball, he has been with the Hornets since day one, and he has stuck by them. And so I think because of the fact that he has stuck with them and he's starting to build more recognition, that's what's making him develop more of a fan base. But as for players like Moussa Diabate, like I said, he's got the little moose ears that people do. And actually, I started seeing some people in the stands, like as I was viewing content, that some people actually brought moose ears to wear in lieu of Moussa Diabate. So I don't think it's really taking away from the players themselves. I will say, as a Hornets organization, our starting five lineup is probably the most popular. So you think of LaMelo Ball, Con Knipple, Miles Bridges, Moussa Diabate, Brandon Miller is another one. I think what really makes or breaks that marketing aspect, I think it's just like players taking time to develop their skills and becoming better that brings on that marketing scheme. So, I don't think there's like really, I guess, like a goal to promote one player over another or something along those lines. I think we're really trying to balance out that whole team.
other question I had was, so I feel like more than ever, like a lot of production has been on social media, and you have to be kind of be familiar with like many different platforms. Like, how do you tailor your specific content if you're posting it on like YouTube or if you're posting it on certain platforms like Instagram or TikTok? Like, do you have to edit it or think of certain stories to put on certain specific platforms?
Yeah, so one of the things that we like to do, especially for social media, is we will get together as a group at least weekly and come up with content ideas. So we'll have our producers in, our directors, our videographers, our editors. Well, I actually happen to be the only editor at the Hornets right now. But all of those people get into a room and they say, okay, what is going on? Our PR people will tell us, who's up and coming. For example, Rookie of the Month is coming up this year, and Con Knipple has won Rookie of the Month 3 times in a row. And so our PR person, for example, will say, okay, for the month of February, we evaluate all of the other players who are, maybe in conjunction to winning this. And we say, okay, Con may have a shot at getting this. So we need to build videos in advance just in case this happens. So we'll have those sort of videos. And then also we will have community-based videos. So it's not all just about basketball. We have players who will go out in the community and maybe get out with a foster organization and or donate food from Food Lion. It just really varies. But here's another example. Del Curry is actually having his jersey number retired. So we have to think of different content ideas that they'll say to me, okay, Rachel, how can we promote the fact that Del Curry's number is getting retired? Well, one of the ways is maybe reflecting back on retro videos or images of Dell himself, and how can we incorporate that to make that into a creative video. They give us a lot of creative power, I want to say, a lot of creative power. So it's kind of up to us, but we it's up to us as well that we have to meet that expectation that it is engaging, that we can do this. They give us a lot of trust with that.
What would you say like are some key parts of like your video editing that like can separate like an ordinary video to like that wow factor that like really gets the fans like engaged in something that they won't like forget?
Absolutely. That is a huge thing, especially when it comes to sports, because versus an ordinary piece, you don't want to just slap B-roll and music together. Some videos that may work, but when it comes to sports, there's so many different elements and layers that you want to add in. So color grading can make a difference. You want to add those vibrant colors, add those Hornets colors, especially when you can. Another aspect is making sure that you tie in other factors like maybe Del Curry and Eric Collins screaming, "Oh my gosh, Con Knipple is magical." Just those little phrases can make or break a video, because how do we know what is something you got to give people the why factor of why should they be watching this, and giving them the fact that if they're not in this the court, or not on the court actually watching what is going on, you need to give an audience that compelling factor of making them feel like they are in the court, in the arena themselves. So I think that's a huge thing, is adding those audio elements, whether that is with Del Curry and Eric Collins, maybe it's natural sound of the audience cheering for Musi Diabate during a dunk, or maybe it's natural sound of the players actually talking during a timeout. A timeout that can really bring a piece together and make more storytelling happen within a video so that they feel like they're a part of it themselves.
Does that kind of like tie into like your favorite parts of doing the project? Like that kind of just making the fans feel like they're there is, or kind of like what I'm asking is like, what's the most like fulfilling part of being able to really engage like the fans, the athletes, and like all of the above?
I think really tying the story together is what makes it so fun. For example, with all of the aspects to the Real Access docuseries that I sent you guys, there are so many elements to it, as you guys probably maybe saw within even 10 minutes of it. We tied in over, no, we tied in 9 games all together, all of our wins, all in one video. And I think because a lot of people don't get to see the behind the scenes of what actually goes on, even off the court. You know, looking at the locker room footage for the first time made me giggle so much because it really shows that the players, they may just be on my screen, but they actually have humanistic character, or excuse me, they have humanistic characteristics about them, just like me. Like they're just like me. And I think that's what really brings it all together is that at the end of the day, all of these players are humans just like us.
I just want to say thank you again so much for your time and being our guest on our podcast today.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can any of our viewers find you online?
I gotcha. So one of my biggest platforms that I love to post on is on Instagram. So it is at Rachel RACHELL dot Marie MARIE. I had to make sure I spelled that right. So that's mainly where I like to post content. I do have a YouTube channel. I haven't used it very much, but I plan on posting more.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
All
Bye.
right. Bye, guys.
So, following our guest, Rachel, I have prepared a couple guided questions related to our topic of sports marketing. So, first, how do you all think that social media has affected the landscape of sports marketing in today's world?
Well, social media definitely has helped build parasocial relationships between players and, the viewer. And talking about the Hornets specifically, I think that applies a lot to LaMelo. He's their star player. He's been with them in the organization for a while, and he's kind of a lot of fans have built a relationship. I think his jersey is probably one of the top selling, if not the top selling jersey in the organization. So that definitely helps in the marketing aspect.
Yeah, with that question, when I think about um like kind of how Rachel was mentioning that like they're active on and like most sports teams are active on multiple different platforms with short form and long form content along with like whatever website they might have. So like she was doing the real access like 20-25 minute long videos that are more that like she said humanizes them um and kind of closes the gap and gives way to those parasocial relationships so that the fans are far more engaged now that uh, media has closed that gap.
Yeah, no, I agree with well both Coles. Like I think the parasocial relationships um I mean now that it's so much more like in like we can like us fans we can actually like reach out to the players and like obviously like there's negative relationships and like positive ones and I think like the marketing aspect of it because they go out and they like brand these athletes as well to like market to us like the consumers kind of like the jersey like you said and I think it's super important for like marketing and like social media and the athletes to all come together to create kind of just like obviously the consumer triangle and it's important for us fans to like stay engaged and we want to stay engaged so I think it's definitely I think sports marketing has definitely left a positive impact on just athletics in general.
The consumer triangle, that was like it was like athlete, brand, and audience, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just checking for our
Yeah.
viewers.
No, social media has like completely changed it, I would say, just because like I feel like social media itself is a lot more laid back than like a press release or like a TV, like something on TV, because like the athletes are able like to be themselves. I feel like more on social media, like on your like Instagram, TikTok, and it's more authentic, I'd say. So I feel like it brings the fans in more so than something you'd see on TV where it's like overly produced.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like with like the ease of just like using social media to like your advantage of not just organizations marketing their own players, but players marketing themselves, and it's like open like new windows of like different forms of marketing, like personal marketing rather than just like the team as a whole. And that kind of goes into my next question, which is given like the power of sports marketing in today's world, do y'all think that organizations are almost becoming more of media companies rather than just sports organizations, and it's kind of almost given these teams like a different image rather than just a team and players and their performances on the field?
I definitely think so. I mean, since we're on the topic of the Hornets, I feel like they paint a picture for the consumer and, the viewer that there's more of a culture there than just a normal team. I feel like in the past, definitely there's been less of that, and you just, you see the team go out, play on the court, whatever. But now with the use of social media, there's, like I said, cultures built within organizations that the consumers can see. Like, I don't know, y'all probably saw that picture of LaMelo and Brandon Miller go viral a couple weeks ago of them messing around on the court. I think you can see that it's not only teammates in business, but it's friends and relationships being built on the court too.
Yeah. Is that the one? That clip is the one. Are we thinking of the same one where they're like wearing the orange jerseys
Yeah, and
and
he's
it's
like,
like the slow mo and it's like, bruh. But no. It's a culture. It's a culture. I wish I now you're like you made me think of like another question to like ask Rachel, not to go on a tangent, but like the like now they have this chance. It's kind of like the Sacramento Kings a couple years, like 2022, when they finally got back into the playoffs and they had this like they seemed like they could be a winning organization in the next few years, and they like had new stuff like they had that thing where they win a game, they light the beam, and like they started expanding their marketing. It was more a lot less gray colors, more mascots around. I feel like that's also the same what's going on here. Like there's more. Um, they're able to expand their capabilities and just like create this like in real access they always say stuff or like I saw the players like say like they get in the huddle and they say like go hive or something about the hive mind. I don't know, I got to
I
get
know
into
what you're
that,
talking about. Yeah.
but I was like okay, now there's like there's places you can branch off from in terms of marketing other than we are the Hornets and we are a bug. I don't know what else to say. We had they have only been like 500 or above at like once in the past 5 years. So it's like she also mentioned, they could the Hornets could catch a bit of a break, but I don't know. I don't think that fully like answered the question. Can I? What was the question exactly? Sorry.
The question is more of uh, like, do you think organizations becoming more of like media companies rather than just an organization, kind of giving like more light to like the personality rather than just the wins and the losses and the team?
Mm. Yeah, I think it's more like a plus for them. Like, of course, the number one thing is like ticket sales and getting on broadcast and getting those ratings, um, as well as like merch and buying jerseys and whatever kind of merchandise. But I think like as far as media, it's just another way of being a proponent of the brand. Well, you are the brand, but another way to perpetuate it and have it kind of get in these other areas. It's all ways to get more fans involved. So I think. Yeah, I think like the amount of media that a sports team produces is unprecedented to what it was even like just 10 years ago. So, yeah.
I would even say like the grow in social media, like they're still making like money off of like all like the clips and stuff that they're posting like go viral. So it's almost just as like effective as if like they were selling like jerseys or something like that. Like because they're still making money on off their like social medias.
Yeah, no, it's I'm sure y'all can relate. I don't have much money, so like when I'm looking on like social media and things like that's kind of where like I want to get my engagement, like I want to show like my interest and like especially with like the merchandise, it's obviously like very important, like go Clemson. Obviously, I have a ton of Clemson merch. I'm wearing Clemson merch right now, but also like going into that, I really want to, if I'm going to represent a college, I want to like go in the media. I want to see what they're into, or a sports team. I just want to see, kind of like the relationships they have with their fans. Like I want to be proud of like what I'm like wearing on me. And I think that's like really important, like to go back and to make sure that social media just like always has like, well, it's just cultivated such like a community within like the sports fans. And I think it's just become super important to just everyone to have like a positive like social media impact.
Yeah, I feel like with like the rise of like marketing and sports organizations, like teams aren't relying on having to have the best record in order to gain fan engagement, but they can do so through like showing the personality of their players and giving like behind the scenes to kind of like boost their image. Like you see rises of teams like the Savannah Bananas, like they're not as good of a team as MLB teams, but because of their marketing strategies and personalities, they're able to like create their own brand and be more creative with their work. And like kind of going off of that, like what do you think, who do you think of when you think of like a marketable athlete and like what makes a specific athlete marketable? Is it like their performance, their personality, their presence on social media?
Okay, so the first one to come to my mind, which I'm biased, I'm a Chiefs fan, Patrick Mahomes. I mean, you see so many ads with him, Heinz Ketchup, State Farm, he's everywhere nowadays. And I think performance definitely is a first step of marketing an athlete like that. And then once you kind of peel back the layers of the onion, you get their personality and you get their lifestyle through their social media. He's a father, he's a family man, he's a friend, and he's a good teammate, and he's a beast on the field.
Um, yeah, just I think like definitely is like putting up big numbers and being a like a big talent and also having a big foothold in it as well is just by default you're going to get deals by being one of the star players in the league. But also it makes me think like um Boban Marjanovic in the NBA. I'm not even sure if he's still in the league right now. I think he might be on the Rockets, but it's like I see him on like goldfish commercials and other stuff, but it's like he's not a star. He's just a funny dude who like he's like and like people and players especially like his personality. Um, so I think most of the time, and this is never gonna change, is like it's always gonna be actual performance and results is going to get you like garner you with that marketing and that following by default, no matter who you are. But I think personality has the potential to have as much of a pull, kind of a push and pull as stats do.
Yeah, no, I agree with like both of them and that like the fact that like you have to be like kind of skillful to like put yourself out there. But I would say like being like a good person and like kind of showing like that personal aspect of your life also like brings in a lot of fans. Like you got to look at like Cade Klubnik and stuff. Like he has so many like deals with like different brands because like his season this season like wasn't the best and but like he still goes out and like he's doing like good things and like stuff that like Clemson's showing him doing like that brings in still like people still have like a heart for that.
Yeah, I know this is like kind of out of left field, but like Grayson Allen, kind of like obviously he's a great athlete and he got a lot of recognition, but like um I feel like it was probably a little hard to market him because he had like kind of an aggressiveness like on the court. And obviously we know like he got, he fouls out all the time. He's got some anger issues. And that's kind of like one of those cases where he is like a star, but to like, I feel like to brands, it's like, do you really want to market someone that kind of has a reputation like that? And obviously, like he does have a lot of deals. He went and played pro. I think he is still playing pro. I'm not sure. But I think like going back to what like Layne said, like Kate, like he actually has like a good like like reputation. Like he obviously doesn't have any anger issues and everything like that. But I just think it's really interesting to kind of see like the correlation between like personality and skill. Because I think obviously when you have like a better personality and the skill set, I mean you're gonna get marketed, and that's like for me personally, like that's what I want to see in an athlete. So yeah.
Yeah, I definitely feel like athletes need that initial skill to like get their name out there, but then they can really use their personality to kind of like even boost that even further. Like I feel like nowadays you see a lot of professional athletes having like their own YouTube channels posting like behind the scenes content. Like a lot of professional golfers now, I don't know if people watch a lot of YouTube golf, but tons of golfers are like creating their own leagues on YouTube and almost creating their own new sports through their image and just people like seeing their personality not in like a serious tournament, but like seeing them play with their friends on just like a random local course. I feel like really allows you to see them outside their element, their regular elements.
Like Bryson DeChambeau, I think, has a big
Yeah.
one. Yeah, my roommate's always watching him just like while he's eating. He's like put on his channel or something, or whoever he works with there. So
Yeah. Yeah. Same. I watch them while eating by myself all the time. Yeah. So lastly, like a similar question to kind of go off like what Rachel was discussing with her role as sports marketing. Like what is your favorite sports like marketing trend that you've seen like players or teams do? Like is like a specific trend that everyone like has just like become a big fan of?
I think on social media when they do those behind the scenes, like specifically with the Chiefs again, they're coming off the field after practice, walking in the locker room, they're walking by a camera with a question written on the wall and everybody gives their own answer and you get a window into their personalities or like in the locker room they ask questions to everyone. They're like, who would you not let date your daughter? Stuff like that I think is funny and it connects you to the players more.
yeah, you just said that kind of example is like, who would you not let date your daughter? And I mean, I've been getting a lot of NASCAR recommendations recently because we were watching the 500 the other week. But I was like, they had the like all the cup drivers lined up in one of those like 15-20 minute long videos where it's like, who would you not let date your daughter? Or it's like, who would you let date your daughter? Who would you let like um who is most likely to get in a wreck, stuff like that. Also, especially because like it's good to see NASCAR. I feel like NASCAR is always like a step behind in terms of marketing, and I think they're finally starting to catch up in a way. Uh, so well, there's one example is that one. NASCAR doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, those are probably my favorite as well. But I've also like been scrolling the like past like football teams where they're like all in the room and then like one guy like is singing and stuff. Like I
Mhm.
keep like getting those on my Instagram reels. But like stuff like that's just really cool because it's like all the players go crazy. Like when a guy goes up there and he's like singing like a song and like all the other players are like singing along, like stuff like that. It's just fun to watch. Just put the smile on your face.
I know. I think it's kind of like goofy to like think like this, but like the Olympics, I don't really watch kind of like the curling or like I don't even know like what's it called, shuffleboard. I don't know. But like I've been seeing like TikToks about it and it's not even like a marketing strategy. It's just genuinely the athletes just like having fun and like posting. And like the snowboarders, like a lot of the American snowboarders are just like wow, like I can't believe I'm here like eating food or something like that. And I think it's just kind of fun to like see that aspect of like, yeah, like these are just, I mean, people, relatively our age just like having a good time. And I think that's like really important to like see. And I don't know. I love like when it's funny, when it can make me laugh is when I really want to like engage with it.
Yeah, one of my favorite types of like marketing strategies is when like teams or like athletes will do like crossovers with other sports or teams, and you see athletes like with other organizations and like kind of like out of their comfort zone. Like recently, like with the Olympics, there was videos of like I think it was Jason Kelsey like doing like bobsled lessons, like practicing other people's sports. And like I recently saw a video of I think it was Marshawn Lynch taking like batting practice with some baseball team, just like kind of just like letting loose, having fun, and just like seeing their personalities, like and seeing like how athletes from different sports can like connect with each other, but also like seeing their differences is also just makes it a lot of fun to see all those kind of videos. So thank you all for listening and catch us again for episode 3 coming out soon.